Welcome to another episode of the Becker County Master Gardeners Rambling Rose series. My name is McCrae Putnam, and I'd like to talk to you today a little bit about composting in the city. The farmers have it good. They get to push stuff into a pile and compost at their leisure. Here in the city, we like to push it on a little bit, so we have some compost for our gardens readily available come spring. It's a little different in the, I like to compost twice a year. Right now, you'll see my pile is full of stuff from the garden. I've mowed, I put the grass clippings in there, I have nice layers of variety of carbon and nitrogen products. The carbon are the brown, which is dead leaves. Anything that's dead is carbon. Nitrogen is anything basically that's green or still living. So the rule of thumb on your composting is by weight. You'll hear 30 to 1, blah, blah, but that's carbon to nitrogen. The easiest way to do it, I think, is think about, this is how I keep my kitchen scraps. In here, it's by weight. You have this many carbon, dead leaves, by weight, my clippings from my kitchen. And most people don't realize what you can actually compost. They think of it's just fruits and vegetables, but no. Paper plates, you've got your coffee filters with coffee on it. I've got my tea bags. I got leftover waffles. Anything pretty much besides dairy, meat, and oils can go in your composter. I save used tissue, used napkins from the dinner table. You can pretty much compost anything. So this is considered green, and by weight it's much heavier, you can tell. And when you stick that on your composter, you kind of want to spread that around. And if you get near a composter that's stinky, it's because of the nitrogen-based stuff. If there's too much nitrogen and not enough carbon, you're going to get a stinky composter. So if I happen to walk by and I notice it's smelling a little bit, I always keep some bags of leaves nearby, and I throw in some leaves. You want to spread that around. Also, the main deal with composting, is the macroorganisms and the microorganisms. You want it to get the heat. So the way you get your heat is to layer your nitrogen and carbon items appropriately. And some people like to stir them, but basically here we're doing the winter one. I have cleaned up my garden. I'm starting to let that dry out. I've started to layer it. I put a layer of manure on here. I have a post in here that kind of assists with airing, because aeration in your composter is vital. The four basic things: you have to have good aeration, you have to have good water, got to have a good water amount, not wetter than a sponge. So for winter time, what I like to do is, and I will here shortly, is I will get my composter up to this height, and I've done a little winter pruning of some of my trees, so I will snip off some of these, and that will assist with the aeration, because they're thick and nothing will get too matted down. The grass always gets matted down, as you know, when you get that. But once you get your layers in place, you'll want to cover it. You'll want to cover it with the tarp. And what the tarp does is it helps hold in that heat so your microorganisms can continue to eat and do what they're doing to make your beautiful soil for the spring. So one thing I wanted to talk to you about too was your leaves. I always keep them, even in the winter. I keep a bag or two nearby. Sawdust as well. My husband works with wood. And if you have the dry ingredients, once you add the wet, then you can add the dry on top of it, and it keeps your compost pile working at its optimum. So also in the winter, you want to cover it with the tarp. Cover the tarp all the way down. I usually bungee it. That helps hold in the heat, and the moisture stays as well from the condensation. So good luck composting pile, and thanks for watching, and happy gardening.